give you some international news now as states began to enact abortion bans and clinics stopped offering the procedure. Large crowds gathered in major cities in the United States. This after the Supreme Court's decision to overturn the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling that guaranteed the right to abortion in the United States. Let's bring in our U.S. correspondent Simon Marks now for an update. Simon, thank you very much for your time here on today. Firstly, what I saw was images of a person seemingly driving into the protesters. I'm not sure exactly where that happened. Has anything become violent since these protests began?
Yeah, there have been some isolated incidents of violence. That incident taking place in Los Angeles, where arrests were made as tensions began boiling over this move by the U.S. Supreme Court to strike down Roe versus Wade, the landmark 1973 ruling that has kept abortion legal here. From coast to coast for nearly half a century. There was also tear gas deployed in Arizona outside that state's Supreme Court. And it is very clear that we are looking now ahead to weeks and weeks of rolling protests. Abortion rights advocates insist that the only way that there is any opportunity to try and turn all of this around is to register the fury of the public in a series of rolling and growing non-violent protests. But as galvanized as abortion rights activists have been by this Supreme Court ruling, and when it dropped on Friday, published as it was to the Supreme Court's website, it was like a depth charge exploding beneath America's body politic. As galvanized as abortion rights activists are, so of course are Republicans running states, particularly across America's South, but also in other parts of the country, where they are immediately introducing laws that in some cases outlaw abortion completely and in others very, very heavily restrict the procedure. So you're going to see millions of American women, by some estimates as many as 40 million, cut off from any opportunity to secure abortions in their home states, in some of those states immediately and in others over the course of the next few weeks. And there is not very much that anyone can do to alter that, because the Supreme Court, with its 9 justices, 6 of them appointed by Republican presidents, has struck down Roe versus Wade and said now that each individual state can make its own decisions.
It's quite interesting. We know that Utah is one of the states, if not the first one, but one of the first ones to actually ban abortion as soon as that decision was announced by the Supreme Court. Which other state has decided to abolish abortion?
Well, there's a whole raft of states that already had laws prepared to snap back and very, very heavily restrict abortion, and in some cases to make it impossible for abortion clinics to continue operating. So Arizona, for example, is one of those states where the last remaining abortion clinics immediately shut down. They were ready because we, of course, all knew this Supreme Court decision was coming, so they immediately shut down. There are states like Oklahoma where Governor Kevin Stitt, a Republican, took to the microphones on Friday and insisted that he is now ready to move forward with moves to ban the procedure completely in that state. We're still trying to understand in exactly how many states it's going to be absolutely outright banned. In how many states will it simply be very, very heavily restricted, possibly excluding in some states even cases of rape or incest. But the picture is very clear here. We're going to see the emergence of 2 quite distinct Americas. The America mostly in the South, but also in some other parts of the country where abortion is essentially outlawed or largely unavailable. And the other parts of the country, the more permissive parts of the country, including, of course, those enormous states of New York and California, and even here in Washington, D.C., where the mayor sent an email to all residents over the weekend assuring them that abortion will continue to be offered. Those states will continue to permit abortions, and many of them are actively encouraging people to travel to those states for abortion services if they are not available in their home states. Of course, to be able to travel, you've got to have the resources to do that, and that is why this Supreme Court decision is going disproportionately to impact people who don't have resources and who are living in poverty or within the working class.
That's exactly it. You have people, now, or women having to travel to states that would allow them the right to have an abortion, to have to do that. And you're quite right in terms of the funds. But is there no concern that there could be a rise in illegal abortion facilities then if, all these other states decide that they want to shut down clinics who gave safe abortions?
Yeah, that's a massive concern. I mean, the huge concern is that we could see a return to backstreet abortions in parts of the country where there are people that can't afford to make the journey or don't find the charitable funding to make the journey to states where abortion is available. There are also concerns that were addressed directly by President Biden on Friday before he left the United States for the G7 summit in Germany, that there may be some states that attempt to restrict the freedom of their citizens to travel to states where abortion is available. And the president insisted the federal government will do everything in its power to make sure that there is no restriction placed on the freedom of movement from states where abortion is outlawed. Also, the Department of Justice here moving to underscore the continuing availability of abortion pills that are regulated and approved by the Food and Drug Administration. They can still be supplied, I mean, through the mail to people in states where abortion is illegal. That could become a new legal battleground because you may see efforts in some of those states to head that off. And it's also worth making the point that the Supreme Court is not done yet. In a concurrent opinion that was published alongside the majority opinion striking down Roe versus Wade, one Republican-appointed Justice, Clarence Thomas, said, OK, we've struck down Roe versus Wade. Now we need to turn our attention to the right to contraception, the right to gay sex, and the right to single-sex marriage, to same-sex marriage. So it is absolutely clear on what trajectory this Republican-dominated court is determined to drag America.
Simon Marks, our U.S. correspondent, thank you very much for your time coming to us live from Washington, D.C.